Recording has now begun. Today is Wednesday, October 27th, and you're here for the public meeting for the Reimagine 75th Street project, which includes a reconstruction of roadway from Quivira to Schweitzer on 75th Street. Just a few quick introductions. I'm Cody Wilbers. I'm the project manager for the project. With us, we also have Lauren Snyder, the city engineer. Trying to get back to the introduction page. I also have Steve Hawk, the business liaison for the city, as well as Caitlin Gard on the line, and a few others. Michelle Dissler's online, the mayor for the city. The designer for this project was Trans Systems, and the wall design engineer was Stantec. They also did some of the landscaping throughout the project as well. The design engineer nor the wall design engineer are on the call with us. What I'm going to do the next few minutes is just kind of go through the roadway design and layout, discuss the current phasing plans, discuss the current project schedule, and then open it up to question and answers for all. The current design includes roadway reconstruction and intersection modifications. I'll discuss each of those intersection modifications specifically. It replaces curb and gutters throughout the roadway. There's new inlets, new storm sewers. It replaces and upgrades sidewalk and streetlights along the roadway. There's utilities being relocated. Several of those are ongoing now. I'm sure you've noticed them at Neiman and 75th, really along 75th in general, and 75th and Quivira. And we'll also be constructing a screen wall at the southwest corner of 75th and Neiman. This here is the 75th and Quivira Road intersection. From a lane configuration standpoint, it mostly remains the same. There will be 2 lanes in each direction from the north, south, east, and west. One of the differences in this lane configuration is we are adding an additional dedicated left turn lane for westbound 75th Street to southbound Quivira Road. All the other turn lanes remain as currently designed. The additional turn lane here is it's completely related to traffic numbers and making sure we can get traffic through this intersection as quickly as possible. So the additional lane does provide that benefit. I think currently there are 2 left turn lanes, but one of those is a through and a left. So this here, the difference is, like I said, we have 2 combined left turn lanes. The next intersection is 75th Street and Neiman Road. Again, we have 2 lanes in each direction on 75th in this area. Turn lanes on the north, south, and west leg all stay the same. The only difference at this intersection is we are getting rid of the direct eastbound to southbound turn lane. Again, traffic numbers didn't show the need for this additional lane, so we are modifying that and getting rid of that with the redesign of the project. Lastly, we have the Schweitzer and 75th Street intersection. No real modifications at this location, just putting back the crosswalk as well as having a left lane. No work will go on in the official intersection. It'll stop just on this west leg here, and we will reconstruct the project right up to the intersection. From when we last talked, we do have a few design updates, which we're currently working through. The bids came back originally when this project was advertised early this year, a little higher than anticipated. So we have been going through making modifications. We're going to talk about some of those modifications that visually you guys might be apparent to you all. So one of those is related to the wall. This isn't directly related to the initial bid, as this was going to be a separate project initially that we were going to complete with the whole Reimagine 75th Street. Our current design is to have 15-foot wide by 10-foot high panels from a decorative standpoint, and then we'll have a concrete panel that's 15-foot wide and 8-foot high throughout the rest of the corridor. This is along 75th Street, and it stops on Neiman Road as it goes to the south, and a wood composite, I would not say a composite fencing wall will be placed down there. These panels that you see here with the blue and green waves, that's just put there from a placeholder standpoint. What we will do is work with the city's art committee to discuss officially what's going to be placed on these locations and on these panels. The current plan is to have 2 of these panels at the corner of 75th and Neiman, and then 3 more panels along 75th Street. And again, the art committee will be part of figuring out the official design and or artwork that's going to be placed on that. Additionally, we will have some landscaping in front of the wall, as well as the 8-foot path that's located on the south side of the project. On the north side, we'll have a 5-foot sidewalk running the whole length of the project. One of the other updates that we'll be doing is the project originally had the concrete curbs as well as the stamped concrete at all of the minor intersections along the roadway. So this isn't at 75th Street and Neiman or 75th and Quivira. This would have been at all the minor streets to the north and south as you go through corridor. We'll be changing those from these stamped concrete looks to just more of a direct painted crosswalk with just two bars across the roadway. The 75th Street and Neiman, 75th and Quivira, and 75th and Schweitzer will have a thermoplastic pavement marking across it. So it'll look like a stamped concrete, but it won't feel, as you can tell when you drive over these, you can really feel that you're driving over them. The thermoplastic brick work, they don't have a feel to them. It's just more of an aesthetic appeal related to those. One thing I've been getting a lot of questions on lately from people throughout this corridor has been the phasing. Our current phasing plan starts from Schweitzer and works its way to the west. Where the first phase will be is from Schweitzer to just east of Reeder Street. And how the contract set up for them to construct this is to do the very northbound lane, or the north lane of the westbound lane first. They'll complete that section and then move to the very south lane of the eastbound lanes. And then once they're finished with that, they can construct both the middle lanes, which would be having 1 lane of traffic going westbound and 1 lane of traffic going eastbound, and that would be from Schweitzer to Reeder. Additionally, once they finish phase 1A, we are allowing them to keep this closed past 4 p.m. and before 9 a.m. Phases after that require the roadway to be open to 2 lanes of traffic in each way after 4 p.m. and before 9 a.m. This is to just help with the congestion in the area and reduce that as much as possible. So what you'll see is road work getting set up right around 9 o'clock and then being picked up right before 4 to alleviate congestion throughout the area. As we work our way west, the next closure starts, like I said, just east of Reeder Street and works its way west. It ends really closely to in front of these apartments at this location. And they'll do the same thing. The only difference is they'll start on the eastbound south lane, switch to the northbound or the northwestbound lane, and then switch to the median and construct that. Additionally, a lot of people have been asking how Neiman Road is going to get constructed, and the contractor is required to do this work on the weekend. So it'll be a closure that starts at 6 p.m. on Friday and can be opened at 6 a.m. on Monday. And the intersection would be completely shut down during that weekend. Phase 3 finishes it off. Again, it starts kind of right in front of those apartments and goes to the very end of the project. Again, how they'll do that is they'll do the very far north lane first, switch to the very south lane, and then do the 2 middle lanes in between. And again, how the contract is set up is the contractor will only be able to have 1 lane closed between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. So congestion should be mitigated during more of the rush hour time frame. Additionally, several of the side roads along the project have different access restrictions. Some of them are to maintain access at all times, meaning the driveway would be constructed half at a time. Others would be one driveway is constructed while another one directly to the east or west is open. When we do that, we assume that there is direct access to those individuals' properties and that you should be able to get there by just going to the next driveway and working your way to that next location. As far as schedules go, utility relocations are planned from now until mid-2022. Some of those utility relocations that will be happening during the project include some Water One work at 75th Street and Quivira, as well as some minor ones throughout. The majority of the utility relocations are completed, but there are still some outstanding that we're working with utilities to get that taken care of. Final plans are to be wrapped up and signed in the middle of November. We're hoping to advertise and award this late November with an award date anticipated for January 10th of 2022. Construction is planned to begin in March of 2022 and end in fall of 2022. Currently, the construction length for the roadway project is 6 months, but we're trying to work out the specifics and how to tie in the wall at 75th Street and Neiman, and making sure our construction length fits that in appropriately. We're potentially thinking that we could add an additional 6 to 8 weeks to the project for that wall. So that would change completion date to a later fall of 2022. I think most importantly, what we're here for is your all's questions. So what I would like to ask you to do is submit your questions through the chat pod, and I'll read them and then unmute you so you can elaborate any more on those questions that you may have. Additionally, if you have questions that you'd like to send directly to me and not ask in this type of forum, my email is cwilbers@cityofshawnee.org. It can be seen right there. Or my phone number is right there as well, and you can reach me at that. One thing we are working on is setting up meetings with different individuals that reach out. That's happened just today. And if any of those meetings are wanted, feel free to reach out and we can schedule something to sit down and go through the plans and discuss what might affect you specifically. So if you do have any questions, submit them through the chat pod. I'll read them aloud, and like I said, I'll then unmute you so you can provide additional information to that question. Thank you. Michelle asked if I can go over the lane that is being removed again. I will ask to unmute you, Michelle, and I will go over that. Let me go to the slide, that slide. So at 75th and Neiman Road, there's currently, if you're traveling eastbound, there's currently a lane, a dedicated right turn lane to go southbound on Neiman Road. The current design does eliminate that lane. That's due to two reasons. I'd say the main reason is we don't see traffic projections needing a dedicated turn lane in that area, just not heavy enough movements. Additionally, it allows for area to construct the 8-foot sidewalk, the curb and gutter, and the screen wall at this location. But again, I would say mainly the reason we are removing a lane is just it's not a need when you look at traffic studies. Michelle, I will ask to unmute you again if you want to add any more to your questions. You should get a pop-up on your screen if you want to talk more.
Yeah, nope, that answered my question. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in on the chat pod. Shirley asked, would you discuss the walls and where they are at again? There are different walls throughout the project. I know if you drive down 75th Street now, you can kind of see some of the walls along some of the houses on the north side when you're closer towards Schweitzer, as well as throughout the project in general. A lot of those walls are needed to eliminate the roadway's impact to the north and south and adjust to make sure our limits don't go, the city's limits for the project don't get into businesses or homeowners' property. So there are walls being built for that, and there's 6 of them. Some of them are as short as 1 foot. We still consider that a wall, and some of them are a little bit closer to the 4 to 5 foot range. Additionally, we're building the wall at 75th Street and Neiman Road. This is where the Southern Star facility is at currently. It's in the southwest corner of that. What the goal of this wall is a screen wall. It's to kind of, I would say, eliminate visually the gas company's area in there. It is very industrial in nature. So to try to screen that from the overall corridor, we've been working with Southern Star on that specifically, and they're in favor of it as well. The wall does, the concrete portion of the wall does stop just to the south on Neiman Road, but we are still building a screen wall out of composite material till the end of the Southern Star property. Shirley, I'm going to unmute to see if there's any more you would like me to add to that or any follow-up questions.
And helping pay for any of that?
Sorry, can you say that again?
The Southern Star helping to participate for it in the wall to pay for it?
We are working with them. We are working with them on that matter. It does appear that they will be. So we're working on the agreement officially though, and that is not complete at this moment, but it is something we are working with them on. So the goal is for them to participate in the construction of this wall, yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Again, any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat pod. I do know a few people joined late, so in the next 5 minutes, I'll probably cover the first few slides again, just so that information is covered. I'd also like to add, if you input your name and an email address, we will be sending out question and answers at both the in-person meeting, which was held yesterday, and the virtual meeting held today. If you would like to get a copy of those question and answers, please input your name and email address so I can get those sent to you in the next few days. Yeah, Shirley asked if we could discuss the lighting on both sides of the street. I'm going to bring up the plans to kind of go over that real quick. The lighting will be updated along the whole project, and will occasionally include lights within the median. The goal is for the corridor to be well lit, and well lit with LED type lights, which provide a more direct lighting to the roadway instead of putting more of an ambient glow out. These have been found to be more beneficial to roadway users and less distracting to people and business, well, I would say residential areas that can be found to the north and south of some of these projects. Lighting is worked out to make sure the intersections are well lit throughout. Each intersection has ample lighting, and then the corridor has most of the lights from Quivira to Neiman on the south side of the roadway. They're spaced approximately every 150 feet. And then as you get close to each intersection, the lighting becomes more numerous, which you'll see here in a minute. I'm assuming everyone can see my plans, correct? And as you get closer to the streets, the lighting does become more numerous to light the corridor appropriately. The street lights that are currently there will be removed. What we will be putting up is uniform street lights along the whole project. When we do get to Reeder Street, that's where the lights switch to the north side of the road, and that continues towards Schweitzer. Light placement is, we try to have a consistent offset off the back of the curb throughout, but some areas this does become an issue when you have storm sewer going through the project, sidewalk, bus stops, different things like that do lead to the modification of the offset behind the back of curb. So there will be locations where it gets offset just a bit more than usual. Shirley, would you like to add to that question anymore?
Takes me a while to get my cursor over there to unmute. No, it's just always been a concern that it's been very dark, and I hope that this lighting will improve it, and I think it will also help maybe some of the crime that we've had down and through that area too.
I do think this lighting will assist the corridor and provide, it is up to current design standards, which always helps. So hopefully that does, hopefully that does assist.
Right,
Say
and
that
it is
again.
on both sides. It is on both sides of the street, correct?
It varies throughout the corridor. On the from Quivira to Reeder, it is on the south side, and then at intersections, they get more well lit. And then when you get to Reeder Street, the lights switch to the north side of the roadway.
It needs to be on both sides. It's a 4-lane road.
We can discuss that with the consultant and provide more input in the coming days to you.
That would be good. Thank you. I have been trying to get that improvement made for a long time, since I was on council. Thank you.
It looks like John had more of a comment specifically about bus stops along the route. There are 7 bus stops along the route. Those vary to be on the north and south side of the road, obviously, for both westbound and eastbound traffic. John, I can reach out to you. I have your email, and we can discuss this more thoroughly. So thank you for reaching out. Just because I do know a few people joined late, I'm going to cover the first few slides again real quick. Shouldn't take long, and we'll see if that opens it up to any more questions. So again, this is the Reimagine 75th Street. There's several of us on here from the city, including myself, Cody Wilbers, the project manager, Lauren Snyder, the city engineer, Steve Hawk, the business liaison, Caitlin Gard, the assistant city manager, as well as Michelle Dissler, the city mayor. The roadway engineer and wall design engineer are not with us, but that is Trans Systems for roadway design, and the wall designer was Stantec. I'm going to just quickly go over the roadway design and layout, discuss some of the plan changes, and we can go over the phasing just one more time so everyone's aware of that. From a design standpoint, we will be reconstructing the roadway and doing intersection modifications. We'll be replacing curb and gutters, inlets, and storm sewers along the project. We'll be replacing and upgrading the sidewalk and street lights. The north side of the street will have 5-foot sidewalks, while the south side of the street will have an 8-foot trail. We're in the process of relocating utilities and working with those utilities to get any of those that are currently in conflict with the roadway to be moved. The majority of those will be complete before construction, but some are anticipated to happen during construction. Additionally, we'll be constructing a screen wall at the southwest corner of 75th and Neiman. From an 75th Street in general, the street will have 2 lanes in each direction as it's currently designed. What we are modifying is just some of the turning bay areas, lane modifications, or turn lane modifications, and just upgrading the corridor in general. One of the changes you'll see on the project is at Quivira and 75th. If you were traveling westbound on 75th Street, you'll now have 2 dedicated turn lanes to go southbound on Quivira Road. Currently, there are 2 left turn lanes, but one of them is not dedicated. You can also go through. What this does is just add a dedicated turn lane in that spot, and it goes from a 3-lane section to a 4-lane section. But again, 2 of those are dedicated turn lanes. The rest of this intersection is as it currently is designed. Moving to 75th and Neiman, the intersection stays mostly the same. The one difference is we are eliminating the eastbound 75th Street to southbound Neiman Road lane. This is based off of traffic studies, and if that movement, a dedicated turn lane for that movement was really warranted, and what we found is it was not. It also aids to the construction of the 8-foot trail and the screen wall at this location as well, because this is where that Southern Star property is and the wall will be placed. Moving to the next major intersection, we end our project really at the beginning of the west leg of the intersection. And we'll construct our asphalt right up to that and end. No other modifications to Schweitzer are anticipated. Another update we have is the wall at 75th Street and Neiman Road. This is on the southwest corner again. The corner, what you'll have is 2 decorative panels in the middle, as with 2 other panels, I guess, on the sides of that corner. The wall will go slightly to the south on Neiman Road, but end shortly. And then that'll transition into a composite fencing, which will still screen the Southern Star facility. Then on 75th Street, as you work your way to the west, we'll have concrete panels with a decorative form liner to produce an aesthetic look. And we'll have three additional panels that can be decorated with art. What you see here is not the art design or anything, it's just a placeholder. The art will be decided through the art committee, and we'll go out to have those decorated through that process. Additionally, we will have some landscaping in front of all of these panels, as well as the decorative art panels. And this 8-foot trail will be between the landscaping and the curb, as well as a buffer space between the curb and the 8-foot trail. Another design update from when we last talked would be the crossings at all of the minor streets. Currently, the crossings are a concrete curb with a stamped concrete in between. We are switching that to just a thermoplastic paint marking, more of a traditional pavement marking that you see or traditional crosswalk that you see throughout Kansas City. And part of the reason we're doing this is cost and construction time for the project, as we see this as a easier item to construct, and it does lead to a cost saving. I'll stop there to see if anyone has questions related to that. If not, I'll move on to the phasing one more time. I guess one other thing I'd like to add too is at the school, we will be adding there will be a dedicated signal school crossing to assist with getting pedestrians to the north and south across 75th Street. The plan is to have arrow or a signal above each lane to stop traffic if a crossing is needed at that location. And get that whole signal for the pedestrian crossing up to current design standards. Is anyone having trouble hearing me? Actually, add that the traffic lights are going to be synchronized for traffic flow. That's something we always work on, is to synchronize the signals on corridors like this as much as possible. I think currently these do have some synchronization associated with them. The signals that are being installed are going to match our system throughout the city. The more we do that, the easier it is from the maintenance and for us to make slight modifications due to different events that come up, such as updating those signal timings during school years or anything that potentially could come up. So the goal would for these to be synchronized and assist with traffic flow as much as possible, yes. And Shirley, if you would like, you can add to that question. I'll ask to unmute you.
No, that answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go over that phasing one more time. If I can get my slideshow to work. So again, phase one is from Schweitzer to just to the east of Reeder Street. And again, how we're constructing this is in 3 phases broken up, breaking this mile roadway project into thirds. And each of those phases will be constructed in 3 different parts. So phase 1A will be to construct the north lane, or the outside westbound lane. They'll construct the sidewalk, storm sewer, curb throughout that area, intersections throughout that area. And then they will switch to the south side of the road once they're complete with that. So at that time, they would be on the outside eastbound lane. Again, what they'll do is they'll construct storm sewer, inlets, curb, anything like that, and construct that completely. From there, they'll switch to the middle of the road and construct the medians and make sure any of the north-south storm sewers are connected. Each intersection has its own closure, how would I put it, closure details. Sometimes the roadway needs to be opened at all times, meaning they'd have to construct the intersection half at a time. Other times, depending on connectivity, we are allowing them to close a few intersections at once, because if you drive a little bit down the street, you can get into those. Those are mostly at residential locations and not business locations, though. Then as we move to the west and you get closer to Neiman Road, there'll be another closure from, again, just east of Reeder Street to nearly in front of the apartments. Again, we'll do the construction the same way. It'll be the outside westbound lane. They'll construct the storm sewer, sidewalk, entrances. Then they'll switch to the north side of the road and do the westbound curb and gutter. The westbound outside lane, which will include the curb and gutter, the entrances, the sidewalk, and then switch to the middle of the road and construct the medians. The Neiman Road is to be constructed Friday night starting at 6 p.m. and opening up at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. So that'll be a full closure for that weekend. Additionally, the roadway is only, for the majority of the project, there is one small section where we're not requiring this, but for the majority of the project, the roadway is to be open to full traffic after 4 p.m. and before 9 a.m. So the lane closures can only occur between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. After that, 2 lanes of traffic are required in each direction. We do anticipate sidewalk work and maybe some of the inlet work to occur after 4 and before 9, but for the most part, traffic control will be set up right at that 9 a.m. time frame and be tore down just a bit before 4. Phase 3 is the last section of the project. Again, it kind of starts right where those apartments are to the west of the Southern Star facility and goes to the project limits. They do it the same way. They'll do the westbound outside lane, including curb and gutter, sidewalk entrances, switch to the southbound or switch to the eastbound and outside lane, construct all of that, and then move to the medians after that. We're projecting the roadway construction to take about 6 months with an additional 6 weeks to 8 weeks for the wall construction. So we're in the process of figuring that exact timeline out. But our current time frame, we think, for constructing the overall project is 7.5 to 8 months. Again, the schedule is utility relocations are going on now. We do anticipate some utility relocations to occur during construction. One specifically is Water 1 at the intersection of 75th Street and Quivira Road. We're anticipating final plans for both the roadway and wall by the middle of November, with an advertised date of late November and award date of January of 2022. Construction is anticipated to start in March of 2022 and end in fall of 2022. Again, anyone can input their questions in the chat pod. You can also find information on the city's website seen here on this slide. Or you can always reach out to me directly at the number or email seen here. One thing I always like to add is if you have any concerns when the project comes up or now, feel free to reach out and we can discuss. My job is to assist you during construction and make sure the contract is being followed. So if questions or items come up, don't ever hesitate to reach out and we can discuss them. My goal is to make this go as easy for you as possible and work with you throughout the process. I will leave it open for another 5 or so minutes if anyone has questions. If not, that's fine too. You're welcome, Shirley. I think this works well for everybody. I do add that you all add your email address if you would like future correspondence. It's just the easiest way for me to reach out to you. I am going to stop recording the meeting. So if any other questions come up, I will restart that. But I'm going to pause it for now.